Hi. Hello and welcome to Knock Knock Hi with the Glaucomfleckens. I am Dr. Glaucomflecken.
I'm Lady Glaucomflecken.
We're so happy you're here and for this wonderful storytelling show. We're focused on storytelling, everything that goes into making stories and not making stories, telling stories.
Well, creating a story.
Creating a story out of your real life events. We are talking with Dr. Emily Silverman today. And if you don't know Dr. Silverman, she is the creator of the Nocturnists, which is a small group organization that basically puts on stories, is very active in storytelling within medicine. For they put on live events and there's a podcast, and anyway, all storytelling is their business.
It's inspired by the moth, and she's captured some really interesting healthcare stories that, as we talk about in the episode, have been archived for posterity in a pretty impressive way.
So it's really fun talking with her. So I hope you enjoy it. But before we get there, I knew we would be talking with Dr. Silverman, so I was like, okay, stories, like what I should have some stories.
Yeah, we have a daughter that's very good at storytelling,
and so I do have one story about our kids.
Okay.
And so this was recently. Our oldest, who is a big reader and very much into science and space these days. And so she's
10 years old.
She's 10 years old. And so she had all these ideas about like physics and space and time. And she was trying to tell us and she had formulated all these thoughts.
I feel like we should set the stage, like the level of what she's reading as a 10-year-old is Cosmic Queries by Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is an adult popular astrophysics book. So
she's super into
she knows more than I do.
So she's into Neil deGrasse Tyson. So big fan. And my dad is a retired aerospace engineer, and so she was telling us like all these things about like the time and space and stuff, and it's kind of going over our heads a little bit. And so you're like, hey, you should talk to your grandpa. And so,
as a good parent does, you just find someone to pawn this off onto.
He would be very interested and can hold an intelligent conversation about this with you. And so we were in the kitchen, and I got her on the iPad to talk to my dad. And then they started having their like really high level sciencey conversation. And then I go in to check on our younger daughter, who's 7. Also
very smart. I mean, she's intelligent.
And she's very intelligent. But just to show you the kind of the difference between the two, I walk in, I overhear her singing a song, and I was like, "What is she singing?" And she's like, just playing by herself, and she was singing, "Oh, oh, oh, O'Reilly, auto farts." And it was, just two very big extremes. And
one is me and one is you. And we'll let the listener decide who's who.
It was one of the funnier things that I've never laughed so hard at a fart joke in my life. I loved it. And I love our kids and how different they are.
Yes.
And it's amazing to me how different kids can be.
Yeah, same parents, same household.
Same genetic material.
Totally different kids.
So let's get to our guest today. So
let's
Dr. Emily Silverman, she is an assistant volunteer professor of medicine at UCSF in San Francisco, and creator and host of the Nocturnists, an amazing storytelling group, and with putting on a lot of really cool content. So let's get to it. Let's talk with her. Here we go. Dr. Silverman, can I call you Emily?
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yes,
Emily,
please.
Thank you so much for joining us. I've been a big fan of yours now for actually quite a while on social media.
Yeah, same.
With the amazing work you're doing in storytelling. And it's as something that I do pretty regularly with my skits is basically like storytelling, right? And you're taking it to like a whole new level, and It's just really impressive. So I'd love to hear how you got started on this route in medicine and in your life.
Yes, I'd love to tell you. I'd also just love to thank you for having me and say I'm so excited to see both of you. And before I answer your question, I have to tell you that over the holidays, I was in Miami, Florida, which is where I grew up. I was visiting my dad, and we stayed in this little Airbnb. And we have a 1-year-old girl, and we took her out in the stroller and we took her to this park, to a playground. And I'm pushing her in the swing, and there's another mom next to me, and she's pushing her girl in the swing, and we get talking. And her husband is a ophthalmology resident at Baskin Palmer.
Oh, okay.
And I was
It's a good
like,
place.
so I've heard.
Yeah.
And I said to her, have you by any chance heard of Dr. Glaucomflecken? And she like lit up, and we both just nerded out. And I said to her, you know what? I just love his work so much that, and I'm going to be on his podcast in a few weeks, and I'm so excited. And I don't get starstruck much, but I feel like I would be more
Oh.
starstruck by him than by like George Clooney or something. And then she was like, she was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. She was like, George
Yeah,
Clooney,
let's not get crazy.
yeah.
Let's tone it down a little bit. Although I do appreciate being included in the same breath as George Clooney. That's very nice. He actually with his characterization on ER. You've
Yes.
watched ER, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he actually might know a little bit more medicine than me at this point.
might,
So
yeah.
Well, I did walk
Yeah.
it back. I said, you know what? On second thought, I think
That
I
was a little much,
prefer
yeah.
George Clooney. It was a little much, but I was trying to just convey
yeah.
my affection for you and for your
Oh.
comedy. So
Well, I appreciate
Um,
that. Well,
anyway.
I think it's so cool. I think how just the different paths you can go in medicine, right? I mean, it's like I never thought that I'd be, doing. I just started doing these videos, these skits because I was in lockdown and needed to pass the time, right? And then it just kind of turns into. So it's always it just amazes me how you can get started doing something, and then it can take in directions that you never thought it would. And sometimes kind of take over your life in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm sure that's probably the same experience you had with what you're doing.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I understand that Lady Glaucomflecken here is now a full-time Glaucomfleckening.
I
If I could
am.
She
yes.
is.
It is now.
So yeah, it really can. It can take over your life. And that's it. So same thing happened to me. Do you want me to answer your question now? I'm sorry.
Oh
I
yeah,
never
please.
answered
No,
it.
go
Okay.
ahead. Absolutely. I love that. I've been dying to know because it's such a unique. Do you call it a hobby, a job? I mean, I don't know what you call it, pursuit, but it's so unique and very interesting. So I'd love to hear the origin story.
Yeah. So the origin story is I always wanted to be a doctor from the time I was a little kid, and then came to UCSF for internal medicine residency. And about halfway through residency, had kind of a crisis of I don't even know what. I think just feeling strange because I had been dreaming about this my whole life, and I was actually just really unhappy in the job. And some of that was just residency and the abusive working conditions of residency, but some of it was deeper and more, I think, related to just healthcare and how it's delivered and how it's paid for and how dehumanizing it is and how the relationships are really getting stripped out and it's becoming an assembly line and things like that. So there was a lot there. And
Yeah.
it just got to a point where I had always been a super artistic, creative person and wanted to explore that through that lens. And it wasn't just like a passing idea, it was actually like a survival tactic. And people
Mm.
often ask me, how did you start this in residency? How did you have time? And I always answer by saying, if I hadn't done it, I actually don't think I would have survived residency. So it was actually kind of a life raft in that way. So what I did was I decided I was inspired by The Moth. A friend of mine took me to a live taping of The Moth. And for those who don't know what that is, it's a storytelling show on NPR. They do radio stuff and live stuff. And just was kind of electrified by the experience of being in the audience at this show and decided I wanted to try that in healthcare and had always been somebody who enjoyed the theater and live experiences. So got 40 of my peers and colleagues in a room. We had several people stand up in front of the room one by one, moth style. Back then, there was no coaching or anything like that. And we picked a theme. I think the first theme was promises, I want to say,
Hmm.
and had them tell stories. And it was just really special. It just felt like there
Yeah.
was such a need.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And from there, it just snowballed. And then, right before COVID, we did a sold out show of 700 seats. And that
Oh,
was
that's
like with
amazing.
virtually no marketing apparatus at all. It was all
Word of
word of
mouth and
mouth, community building, grassroots. And I think, again, stemming from this feeling that healthcare workers were having before COVID, which is like just really wanting to reconnect with the humanity of it all. So
that's
that's
awesome.
the short version.
No, that's and it's what you saying about using storytelling as a life raft, as a way to just get through life. That resonates with me a lot because my path in comedy, kind of a similar thing. When I started med school, I'd gotten away from doing stand up, which was a huge hobby for me. I'd been doing it, high school, college, and then I had like my first cancer diagnosis, and that like I had all this horrible experience I was going through, and it just like I had to kind of deal with that the only way that I knew how to deal with it, which was just like telling jokes. And so that I had to get back into comedy, and I starting to perform again, and eventually doing the social media stuff. And that's the origin of it for me. It was like it felt like something I had to do. It was like this impulse, and it to help me to process things. And so yeah, I totally relate to that. And it's because you're still, and you didn't give up medicine. You're still practicing medicine,
No, I did.
right? Oh, you did. I thought
I
you were.
did.
Aren't you like a visiting or a volunteer
Yes.
physician?
So I
Okay.
didn't fully. So the way it worked was I got hired at full time and then dropped down to 80% and then dropped down to 51%, which was like the lowest I could go and still be an employee and have
Oh, gotcha.
benefits and things
Okay.
like that. And then even that started to feel like there was all this whiplash of like being a
Mm.
doctor some days and growing this creative project on other days. And so I did March of 2021 make the decision to actually not be an employee anymore. And so what I am is I think it's called assistant volunteer clinical professor of medicine at UCSF.
Okay.
And I do attend on the wards 2 weeks a year on a volunteer basis. So that's a way for me to keep my feet wet in the clinical world and kind
Yeah.
of stay connected to learners and to patients. But that's the extent of it. And then beyond that, I'm employed by the nocturnists and dedicating my time to that. And people ask me a lot if I'm going to go back to clinical medicine. This is my husband and my baby in the background.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
no, that's okay.
Um,
Hi,
people,
husband. Hi, baby.
they're gone. Um, People ask me a lot if I'm going to go back to like being an employee at a hospital and doing full time clinical medicine, and I actually don't know. I really, as you
Is
can
it
see,
still something that's open for you, or
it's open.
yeah?
I think if I went back, it would have to be really different.
Hmm.
Um, I've been thinking about what that might look like. Could that be palliative care, or could that be direct
Sure.
primary care, or something
Yeah.
where there's
Yeah.
space for the story? But it also might be the case that I'm here on Earth to do something else, and that's this weirder path.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to like feel into, yeah, like what is it
Yeah.
that wants to happen and just like go with that. But it's hard to know sometimes
Yeah.
what's
I've
right.
had a very similar career trajectory of like I had it all planned out and I was doing all the things and then I got there and I was like I kind of hate this turns out and had to pivot and had no idea where I was going and you just learn to follow the next thing that feels right that is
Yes.
available to you and that's what I've done for the past 10 years or so and I think it's worked pretty well for me. I'm happy with where all the places I've been and sounds like it's going well for you too.
I can
Yeah.
I can understand though how it must be so difficult though to make that decision to walk away completely from medicine. Because it's you've spent so much of your life, and most of us spend our 20s, right? A whole decade if you're a neurosurgeon, maybe 2 decades. Getting to this point. And so to say I I don't want this. and I'm going to give this up, I think takes an incredible amount of courage. And so for you, and you're holding on to, you said 2 weeks a year. I'm interested in, like, what do you get out of that? Obviously, it can keep your skills up a little bit, right? You're still connected to medicine. You have, and so I mean, I assume you feel like that's enough to you know maintain your ability to practice medicine.
Great question. I haven't done it yet. So I actually have those 2 weeks coming up this spring. So end of February, mid March, I'm doing 7 days and then taking a little break and then my
Yeah,
next 7 days. So it'll be my first time diving back in after this period of a
sure.
break. And I am planning to brush up and, read some
Yeah,
stuff and listen to some podcasts to kind of, you know, make sure that I'm not falling behind. But you're right. It may be that it's not enough engagement for it to make sense. We'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, on the
yeah,
other hand, if it's the teaching service.
right.
So I'll be supervising a team of residents and interns and medical students. So it's not me on my
Oh
own.
yeah,
I'll
right.
have other brains and things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm in charge. I'm making the decisions, and so I need to feel like that's appropriate, and that I'm able to do that. Um, I feel like at academic medical centers, it actually happens a lot where you'll have an expert, maybe they're like a
Oh
researcher
really? Yeah,
or
yeah.
even like a primary care doctor who doesn't do a lot of inpatient medicine. And then they'll come in and attend for a couple of
Every so
weeks,
often,
or
yeah,
a
yeah,
basic science or clinical researcher who doesn't do a ton of clinical time will come in and attend for a couple of weeks. So it's not unprecedented.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, we'll see how it feels. And what do
yeah.
I get out of it? I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
I
right.
do sometimes grieve the loss of this old self and of the patients and the team-based environment and, the
Hmm.
hospital and all of those things that we love. And so this might be a way to stay connected, but I don't know if it's going to make sense to keep doing this in the medium to long term. On a very like practical and transactional level, it is helpful to continue holding that UCSF status.
Hmm.
I get to have, my UCSF email and all
Right.
of those things.
Do you
But
do you
yeah,
feel like you need that clinical experience to be able to
To do the
do the
creative work.
creative thing?
mm,
Because that's the struggle that I have. Like, because people ask me, like, "What, are you doing this full time? What's the deal?" No, I still practice medicine, and I feel like I need to practice medicine because that's my connection to my creative side in a lot
right,
of ways. And so, do
right.
you feel that? Is that something that's a part of your thought process?
What a great question. I think on the one hand, I want to say yes, because so much of the creative work that I've made is directly related to medical culture, clinical work. I've lived it. And so there's an authenticity I think that shines through in the work. And the other thing is, um, I'm not just like writing these stories myself. I'm actually putting out calls to the community, receiving stories from the community, and help nurturing those stories to bring them onto the live stage or the podcast. And so, in a way, it's also kind of different because it's not my voice so much as it is I'm kind of the
Right.
liaison between this creative team and the medical community. Is that going to continue to be necessary? I don't know. I mean, the more I rev up my creative self, the more ideas I have for creative projects. And some of them are medical. Like I have, a whole folder in my computer of like, maybe this could be a play, or this could be a film, or this could be a book, or this could be a podcast. And a lot of those topics are medical, but some of them aren't. Like some of them are
Hmm.
about other, I was adopted, for example. So it's like I'm really exploring that. And that doesn't really have anything to do with healthcare, but there's a lot of creative energy that I have around that topic. So it's like, oh, if I wanted to do a project about that, that would maybe have to be separate from the nocturnist. And so this is something
Hmm.
I'm still navigating and I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think this illustrates a struggle that I think a lot of people have. No, struggles, maybe not the right word, but a situation a lot of people in medicine might find themselves in, which is that, you know, people who are attracted to the field of medicine and are successful in it tend to be rather intelligent and, have a lot of talents in different things. And so when you have to choose between, your many interests and your talents, it can be tricky to find the right career path. So I suspect there's a lot of people in medicine who may have, similar things. They have these two seemingly competing sides, and how do you manage to wind those together or have them, separately but both in your life, or choose one over the other? I mean, there's no easy answers to that, or right or wrong decisions. It's probably something a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes people just want to, step away from clinic and just wear costumes and
Alone
wigs
in a
and
room in
dress
their
up
house.
like every other kind of doctor. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if you, as you're getting back into, clinical medicine and thing, if you need me to help you refresh your memory on some,
Totally. Yeah. Like
internal
if
medicine
I
things, please,
AFib.
oh yeah, all the
Yeah.
heart and the two
Mm-hmm.
lungs, and
Yep.
the liver. I'm here for you. So
Ugh, what a
don't hesitate.
relief.
Yeah, that'll
So
work out well
lucky to
for
have
both of
that
you.
phone a friend.
How
Yeah.
many years is it now that you've been doing the Nocturnus?
It's funny you ask because it just crossed 7 years. Our first show was January 2016. Oh my gosh, January 2016. So
Wow.
it's January now, which means we're
Yeah.
hitting our 7th anniversary.
And you said that you had this big live event that was right before the pandemic, and I guess the implication being that once the pandemic hit, everything just ground to a halt.
Yeah.
Um, did you pivot into more? Is that when you started doing more of the podcasting, kind of remote type work?
Yeah, it was one of those situations where you just adapt to the
Yeah,
environment. So we couldn't do live shows anymore. Coming off the high of this sold out, 700
yeah,
seat theatrical experience. So we're like, all right, what do we do?
that's amazing. Yeah,
And it was actually really beautiful what ended up happening, which was we were able to lean into the podcast and produce some work that featured the voices of people all over the United States and beyond, and not just the Bay Area. And so we did Stories from a Pandemic, that was an audio
Hmm.
documentary. We did Black Voices in Healthcare. And then the most recent one, Shame in Medicine. And we just uh, had no restrictions on who could have their voice on the
mm-hmm.
podcast because it was remote. So we had voices from East, West, Midwest, South, and even in the case of Shame, had some voices from the UK because we had some collaborators overseas. So we lost the magic of the theater, but we gained, I'd say, some more breadth
Yeah,
geographically in our
to
community.
expand a little bit. That's
Yeah.
great.
And stories from the pandemic didn't that get into the National Archives or something like that?
Yes, yes. So because we're such a small, nimble organization, when the pandemic hit, we were able to start collecting the audio immediately. I think we put out the call like March 16th or something, really early. And between March and end of May, we got hundreds of clips during that first wave. And then we had some more trickle in over the next year, but it was really that first wave where people were like, holy shit, what's happening? That we got a lot of our material, and that has all been archived at the US Library of Congress as a historic record so that future generations of students and researchers and historians can hear straight from the mouths of healthcare workers what it was like, which is exciting because
Yeah, that is so
there's
cool.
a immediacy to it compared to somebody reflecting on it, say, a year or two later, or
Right, they're
even
hearing
10
the
years later.
real-time reactions. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
So that was really great.
Did you? So you mentioned that really what kind of got you on this path was some of your own difficult experiences as a
Hmm.
residency and training. Would you be open to sharing something from that time in your life?
Sure. Sure. There's so many aspects of it that I could go into.
Did you have a really mean, uh, toxic attending at some point?
I definitely encountered like just rudeness in the,
Yeah,
like, and the shame that comes up when you call a consult and they treat you like crap, or the shame that comes up when, you're not sure what to do and you feel like an idiot, like all of that. But the main one, I think, was How do I put this succinctly? Because I tend to be long-winded. Um,
It's okay. We got some time.
I feel like when you're a resident dealing with a panel of patients, it's sort of like uh, the most intense and high stakes, like project management, like keeping track of that to-do list and putting in orders and making decisions and prioritizing and triaging tasks and re-triaging them constantly in real time as things come up. The cognitive fragmentation of like you're trying to think and sit and
Mhm.
reckon with like, okay, why does Mr. Smith have renal failure? And you're kind of in a cognitive place. And then it's like beep, 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 and then like suddenly you have to do something else.
Right.
Whereas with surgeons, like if they're in the middle of an operation and you page them, someone else picks up and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, so and so is doing surgery right now. Like, I'll pass the message along. But our procedure as internists, our procedure is cognitive. And I felt like I just wasn't able to get into a flow state really at all. I was just tension switching and task switching constantly. And my brain started to heat up, like almost like a like computer drive. And then I would come home and I would be exhausted. And that was all on top of the emotional dimension of, grappling with illness and suffering and death around me. And then on top of that was the inhumane work hours and the 28-hour shifts. And I will say that toward the middle of residency, I started to develop a lot of like pelvic pain and symptoms, and my periods got all messed up and developed uh, endometriosis, which I ended up needing to have surgery for toward
Mm.
the end of residency.
Mm.
And I'm pretty convinced that that all happened like as a direct consequence
Right.
of me just completely neglecting my body. There's this concept of like, if you don't say no, the body will say no for you
Mhm.
and express,
Mhm.
itself in that way. And so that definitely happened to me. And that year, that whole journey of the endometriosis and the pelvic pain, which is much better now, thank God. Um, that was a whole side journey and the experience of like having a thing that's invisible and being a woman and being dismissed and ignored and like
Mhm.
that whole experience. So kind of seeing that through the patient's eyes. So it was all of that. It was structural, it was cultural, it was everything. And I was just like, ick. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
I love I love what you said about the difference, but I never thought about that. The difference between surgery and medicine and attention, doing your cognitive tasks, equating that to, a kind of like a surgical type task. And it's so true. Like surgeons get to operate and don't have to stop, for anything else. I love that so
Yeah,
much.
there's an input output thing that I think is a broader problem in America where output is what is valued, things that we can see that we produce, right? Like little widgets on a factory line. But so much work nowadays is knowledge work and it's invisible and it's input. You need a lot of input for that and you need a lot of time and space to think. And to the outside observer, that just looks like you're doing nothing. It looks like standing still. And so it's not valued in the same way that output oriented work is valued.
I remember how exhausted I was after internal medicine rounds. I mean, it's mainly
Yeah.
because it was like lasted for quite a while, but it was it was very exhausting, and so I can empathize with that perspective.
I remember watching you go through residency too and seeing the same thing, but from the outside of, I just remember I commented on it all the time. It was so ironic that like here you are learning all about the body and these are, your professors and your attendings are these experts in the body and none of you are taking care of your body and your entire system is set up to make you sick.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it just never made any sense to me and still doesn't, but I remember watching you go through that and just thinking this is so ironic and a little bit of my like faith in the healthcare system was chipped away by watching that. Like I'm not sure are these people equipped to be taking care of me? They've been up for 2 days straight, right? Like you start to have some doubt in your healthcare providers because you don't know what the system has been asking them to do and what state they are in now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some things that you probably won't miss about, the daily, yearly grind of clinical medicine. When in particular talking about our healthcare system.
Yes.
Definitely. I mean, I go to bed every night and I don't set an alarm.
Yeah.
That's
Like
pretty
I
amazing.
just go
Well,
to bed.
you have a 1-year-old. You've got a built-in alarm.
That's true. She's a built-in alarm. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
And talking about the the stress that's placed on physicians and training, but then once you get out of training, then there's this whole other area of the healthcare system that kind of just, it really shouldn't blindside us, but it did for me, was learning about health insurance and how government and politics really impact the life of healthcare professionals. And that's not something you get a lot of exposure to in training. And then it just hits you like a brick wall whenever you start practicing medicine, right? And just adds to that, that stress and that difficulty with trying to maintain work-life balance when you're having to do prior authorizations and
it's
everything.
so counter to why you get into medicine in the first place, right? It takes you away from your doctor-patient relationship and from healing people. You spend all your time on the phone dealing with administrative nonsense.
That brick wall that you describe, oh man, that really resonates. Because I think I went through like a developmental hierarchy of understanding the problem, where first it was like, we're being overworked. In terms of sleep, in terms of cognitive fragmentation, in terms of having to take care of people out of context. Like, we don't know these people. We don't know their stories. Like, there's so much cognitive friction when someone comes into the hospital. You have to sit down and read their entire chart and figure out what their deal is. And that takes time. And so anyway, I think initially I was like, oh, surely if we notify the people at the top that we need more time and we need more resources, then things will get better. And then I realized that actually a lot of those leaders, whether it's a division head or a department chair, like don't like maybe they would want to help if they could, but they can't because they are subject to these even greater forces at the level of the C-suite and the C-suite and executives. I think I said C-squeak, which like C-squeak. And then you're like, oh, okay. So this goes way, way, way deeper. This is an issue about money and profit.
Yes.
And this is one of the things I loved about putting together the Shame series, which is the healthcare workforce, I might argue, is mired in shame, which is why we're afraid to call in sick and things of that nature. And that's so convenient for, the CEO of Optum Health or whoever.
Yeah.
Because then they don't have to build in any slack into the system and so on and so forth. So then I started thinking a lot about like, well, why don't we unionize? And residents are starting to unionize more. Attending physicians, not as much. And that's a whole conversation. But yeah.
I've been really impressed by these trainees that are going that route and realizing that, they do have power and they should, because they have a very important part in healthcare and medicine in general. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are about this kind of push for unionization that's been going on around the country.
Yeah, I think it's great. I feel like house staff really don't have much power at all. We, like I said, we're working these crazy hours. We're not able to eat, not able to sleep, not able to go to the bathroom. It's built into the culture. So we're kind of conditioned to feel like we need to be superhumans or robots who don't need any of those things. And that's kind of the stoic physician myth.
That needs to go away for sure.
Right. And so what happens then when physicians awaken themselves to the fact that it is a myth and actually we're human and we have bodies just like our patients and we need to attend to ourselves. And you could do all the wellness committees in the world, but at the end of the day, like you need power. Power is what you need. And unions are really nothing more than a way to take all that power that's been consolidated to the business people and just taking back a little bit of it, shifting a little bit of that power back to the workforce so that they have leverage so that, because nobody's just going to, out of the goodness of their heart, say, like, actually, you can sleep now, or like, actually, we're going to give you a break in the middle of the day so that you can rest and eat. Like, you need to kind of take those things by force at this point through power. And the union is just kind of the classic tried and true way to take power back from, the
Yeah, I don't
people
see
at the
any other
top.
way to do it, right? I
I
mean,
really don't, right?
that's and it's not unreasonable demands either. From what I've seen, I try to follow it a little bit on Twitter. People talking about the unionization efforts, and it's all very reasonable. Humans trying to stay alive type of things, which is just a bare minimum. And so,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to happen, you know, more broadly with the rest of medicine. I find it hard to believe that would really happen. But again, like you said, that maybe another podcast.
Yeah, right. For your separate labor rights, healthcare worker labor rights podcast, we can talk about it on that.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
a big.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, right. I got to work on that part of my content is the labor rights part of it.
Although I must say, and your work is I think what's so great about your work is it's hilarious because you do all this commentary on the culture and like the surgeons and the radiologists and the neurologists and sort of all the different phenotypes and make poking fun of that. But some of your more recent stuff is starting to tackle these issues of like PBMs. I think I spammed you I think I sent you like 5 emails in one day when you posted your PBM video. I just was beside myself
Yeah.
with excitement at how you were able to educate your Twitter audience about what a PBM is and how it works and why it's, all of the huge, disgusting amounts of money that are being pushed around, and through a comedic TikTok video. I was so happy to see that because
Oh, well, thank you.
we don't know. We're not educated on these things. And
No, I had to do a significant amount of research to put that video. That was probably the longest I've spent like planning and writing out a 2-minute skit. And it's because I had no idea. I had heard something, I read something on Twitter about PBM. I was like, oh, that sounds bad. And so but it's
What is
just
PBM? What does it
so
stand
it's
for?
a pharmacy benefit managers. They're kind of the middle, like a middleman
Mm.
of multiple different middlemen in medicine. And so I did a video called "The Middleman of Medicine" or something, or in healthcare, middlemen of healthcare. But basically, they go between health insurance and pharmacies, extracting money from this already expensive system and driving up costs. And there's so many things with these organizations, and the big problem is that they're all vertically integrating now. So you have United Healthcare, they have their own PBM, they now have their own pharmacies, and they can set
They have
costs.
control of
and they
the
have control
whole
of
system.
the whole line. Now they're owning hospitals, they're owning doctors,
Yeah.
and none of that's good. And that's actually something that the FTC is interested in and starting to look into is like the vertical integration problem.
And the video is hilarious.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
It
I
It's like the
actually is.
Trojan horse of
I
healthcare.
can't. It was. I tried my best to make PBMs funny.
Yeah. And you did.
Sometimes
And
it's not that.
and
not
that's
that
why I
easy.
sent you 5 emails.
I appreciated that. I do
Yeah.
remember getting the emails from you. Oh, you're a big fan of the PBM content.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. Well, let's take a quick break, and we will be back with Dr. Emily Silverman. When I was in college, my parents would send me a care package every so often. They had like socks and underwear and snacks and things.
Yeah, it's like a hug in a box.
Well, you know what? Roskbox is doing that for people in medicine because, as we all know, there's a lot of burnout in medicine.
Yeah, and what could be better than coming home after a long shift or a full day of classes and you've got that special little care package waiting for you?
And we've worked with Roskbox before. We know how great they are, and it really helps you remember why you got into this profession in the first place.
And it's great because you can order it once or as a recurring monthly gift for that person in your life.
To send encouragement to the healthcare professional in your life, go to roskboxmd.com/shop to use coupon code KKH to get 10% off every month and free shipping within the continental US. That's ROSCBOXMD.com/shop. If you follow and tag both at Roskbox and at Human Content Pods, you'll be entered to win one free March Roskbox. All right, we are back with Dr. Silverman. So, Emily, we're going to do something. I was thinking about what you're so good at in crafting and kind of guiding stories and coaching people, trying to teach them how to tell an effective story. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm really good at like storytelling or anything, but I do have a story from my training. And I thought you could guess part of my story. So I'm calling this Guess My Own Adventure.
Okay.
Kind of like a choose your own adventure, except I'm going to come to certain points where I want you to try to guess like where the story goes.
Okay.
And so we're just gonna try this out. I don't know. I've never done this one before. And so let's give it a shot. So I'm going to set up the location for this story. This was during my intern year. And I did it. I was in Chicago at a small community hospital. I was doing a transitional year, which honestly, very low key year. Like it's nice for a future ophthalmologist to be able to do a year like this. But my ICU rotation, that was like the one rotation that just struck fear into all of our hearts, right? And I just happened to start on that rotation at the beginning of my intern year. So already a little bit terrified. And so this was a 30-bed ICU, and again, small community hospital. So the only backup I had was a fellow somewhere. Don't know where they were. In the hospital, maybe.
Timbuktu.
I don't know. Yeah, not exactly the most present individual. I also had this strange remote monitoring thing that was going on. So like I'd walk into a room and sometimes there would be like the voice of God coming down and like telling me what to do. And I had an actual attending by phone. All right. So I had to call an attending with each admission because I was brand new. So this is my fourth night as an intern. Like I've been a doctor for like 4 days. Okay. And my shift starts at 7 p.m. And at this point, this is actually my first night in the ICU. All right. Again, essentially by myself. All right. Am I A, cool and confident, or am I B, losing my mind at this point? What do you think? If you had to guess, which one of those would describe my mental state at that point?
I would say maybe B, right? Like
I was
an
totally B.
ophthalmologist in the
I was
ICU.
very much B.
Okay.
Yes. I was a future ophthalmologist in the ICU.
Yeah.
That sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
All right. And so everything's going okay. Like the patients are kind of tucked in, but then around midnight, I get my first big admission. I don't even remember exactly what the patient was going on. We'll say cardiac arrest for lack of a better diagnosis. Very critically ill young person came in. And as soon as I get word that the patient's coming in and they actually roll the patient into the ICU, what is the first thing I do? My first action when the patient hit the floor.
You say, I have to go to the bathroom.
Good guess. No, I crawled out from underneath the desk in the workroom. I crawled out from underneath the desk.
Where you were napping.
Where I was napping. That's right. Have you ever?
I'm impressed you fit under a desk.
It was one of those long
6'4".
desks that had multiple workstations. So I wanted to ask you, what's the strangest place you've ever taken a nap in the hospital?
At San Francisco General Hospital, there's a resident room where the lights are just really bright no matter what time of day. There's no windows and there's just desks with computers. And I would often like sit at the computer typing notes and then feel tired and then just literally put my hand on the desk and just go like this and just fall, like sitting up in my chair, fall asleep with my face in my elbow like that.
It sounds relaxing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh yeah. Great for my neck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got like a 20-minute nap and I crawl out from underneath my little cave that I had created for myself. and I go and
Like
evaluate.
your George Costanza.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
Ooh,
It's
love a good Seinfeld
that's
reference.
a good Seinfeld reference. I like that one.
Mm.
And I go evaluate the patient, and I immediately, like, it's like a disaster, right? This is a very ill person, lots of stuff going on, lots of patient nurses flying all over the place. And so I have to call the attending with every admission. So I call the attending, and would you guess? I want you to tell me what you think my patient presentation was like. Was it A, concise and well organized, or was it B, an incomprehensible word salad?
Mm. I'm going to guess the incomprehensible word salad.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I don't even know.
This is a pretty easy exercise.
There were no.
Yeah.
It's going to get a little bit tougher here.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, it was. I'm surprised anybody could understand anything coming out of my mouth in that moment, because my brain was just going haywire. And what he does is he tells me, he's like, "Calm down. All right. This is what we're going to do. I want you to start ECMO protocol."
Whoa. 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 Whoa.
It was
Okay.
that serious of a thing, right?
Hmm.
And this is all over the phone. Can you go ahead, because you're going to do a better job of it than I am probably. Could you just give like a 2 sentence? Let's just tell listeners what ECMO is.
Yeah. So if your heart and lungs aren't working, the machine does the work of both of those organs for you.
Yeah. So it's like an external, and there's like, it's a lot that goes into it, right? It's this
Yeah.
external.
Doesn't it
It's like
take your blood out of you and then put it back in or something?
Yeah, it's like
think
mega
something like
life
that.
support.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess if you had that and dialysis, that would probably be like the highest level life support that exists in modern technology. Heart,
Mm.
lung, and kidney, that would be all three replaced. We don't have one for liver. Maybe
No, we don't.
someday.
No.
Yeah.
Or eyes. We don't have one for eyes either.
Mm.
That's
Or the
another thing.
spleen.
That's less important. Or the spleen. But they don't care about the spleen. Okay, so yes, I'm this fourth day intern, and I get my first big admission, and the attending tells me over the phone, you need to start ECMO protocol. What is the next thing that I do?
Well, it's funny because in my mind, I'm imagining you like turning to the side, like in a cartoon, and there's just a giant lever on the wall that says activate ECMO protocol, and you just like flip the switch.
That would have been great.
But I'm guessing that wasn't available to you.
Was not the ECMO lever had not been invented at that point.
Mm. So in that case, you probably had to call someone, right?
You
There must have
probably
been a number.
called out for your mommy.
Another good guess. No, I went into the workroom and I Googled what is ECMO.
Mm.
Okay.
Good start.
Mhm. Good start.
Right. You got to start with the basics.
Yeah.
Right. And so I eventually figure out what to order. And basically what I did was I sat there in the workroom, and I told the nurses that were, everybody that was running around, the pharmacists, all these people, I was like, please tell me what to order. And I'll sit here and let's work on this together. And we did it. We got through it.
The nurses saved your ass. That's
Yeah,
a
that was
classic
a
ICU.
good move.
That's very classic, right?
Yeah.
It's like so predictable, like first week intern, never been in this situation before.
So I was
And-
kind of right. That's sort of the medical system equivalent of calling your mommy.
Right. That's such
we,
a good
we
point.
can all use a little help from time to time. And
The
then
nurses are where you gotta go.
and so but that's not quite the end of the story, because the rest of the night, I got no sleep. And it was one of those situations where, like, even if something's not going on, you're just terrified of of laying down, because
Oh, yeah.
know something's going to happen, right? Like you have that, like the deep seated, like, oh my God, if I sleep, somebody's going to die. Like
Yes.
that's kind of what you're thinking.
And even if you went to bed and didn't get any pages for like 6 hours, you don't know that. You could get a page. And so the quality of the sleep is fraught with that anticipatory anxiety. It's not good sleep.
Right.
And I apologize. I think my baby's just being really loud and is like slamming on the door, which,
That's okay. I
babies
hope your
do what
baby likes
babies
the
do.
podcast.
Yeah.
Is she a fan?
She wanna
Getting
come
to
on.
that age. I was in the bathroom the other day and the bathroom door is like frosted.
Uh-huh.
And I just saw her like two hands on the frosted glass, like the film Psycho. Like she's just trying. I'm like, please, just a moment in the bathroom alone.
Yep.
And I
Has
guess
she done
it's
the thing yet where she wants to climb onto your lap as you are using the
mm,
restroom? That's something to
I
look
think just
forward
don't let
to.
him in, right?
Oh, yeah, easier
Don't let the
said than
baby
done.
in. I
many
guess so.
dilemmas. So she wants to be here, but we'll keep the door closed. So don't
That's
worry.
fine. Not a problem. And so anyway, so to wrap it up, and I'll ask one more thing for you to try to tell me is so a horrible night. So I
Yeah.
no sleep, just I'm constantly ordering things, and several more admissions are coming in. Just the worst night. You're questioning my decision to become a doctor. That kind of night. And in the morning, it's my job to be there for rounds, and then I get to
Yeah.
go home, right?
Mhm.
So as far as just being like a level of exhaustion, there's something that I think is evil about making someone work all night and then participate in rounds the next day,
Yeah.
which in the ICU can be 3 or 4 hours.
It's a performance. It's
You got to be on. You got to have all your ducks in a row,
yep.
organization, all that stuff. And so I am so tired. I've been up for many hours at that point, and I just so happened there was a new attending for the that was starting that week. So the attending was fresh, ready to go. He was also the meanest ICU attending in the hospital.
Mm,
Had a reputation.
Yep.
So here's my last question for you. What do you think he yelled at me for? Because I got yelled at.
What didn't he yell at you for? I mean, all right, let's see. For
Because
not
I was trying really hard too. Like I was so tired. Like this is the beginning of my intern year, so I was like really trying really hard. But there's one thing I forgot to do
one thing you forgot to do
on
that
that patient.
pissed off Dr. McBully.
That pissed off Dr. McBully. I like that.
mm,
You're never gonna get it.
Did you forget to give an assessment and plan?
No, it may not have been a good one, but I gave one.
Okay.
I presented my
Mhm.
patients. Here's what I forgot to do. I forgot to calculate Winter's formula.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I have never been chewed out so hard in training. So just to let everyone know, I don't even know what Winter's formula is anymore, but I think it has something to do with acid base, right?
Well, I was going to ask, do you think you needed to calculate it and it
You
was
tell
actually
me.
like
I
a
don't know.
crucial piece of data that was missing from the equation, or was it more of like you need to calculate it because that's what we do? That's an interesting
I
question.
think that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that has just stuck with me to the point where now I'm 6-7 years into being an ophthalmologist. In no way, shape, or form do I ever need to know Winter's formula.
Right.
And I don't know what Winter's formula is, but I do remember that it exists because of that guy.
And every night before bed, you turn on the lamp at your desk and hunch over the textbook and review it so that
And he
so that if you
whispers Winter's formula a fond good night.
But
Exactly.
and I remember the moment too, just in front of everyone in the ICU, patients, just the guy was just going off on me. And it's
Mm.
like, what you were saying to start this out is those experiences that wear you
it's
down.
public shaming. That's
Public
that's
shaming.
classic. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what it was. And so I appreciate you helping me with my adventure and for sharing my
Oh my
misery,
God.
because
Thank you.
that was a moment that I think I'll ever forget. And now we have it recorded for
Well,
posterity purposes.
Yeah. I don't know if the patient survived. I hope they did. But the good
The
news
patient did
is
survive.
you
Oh,
you
good.
also survived. So
We all
thank God for that.
we all survived. And sometimes you have nights in the hospital, and that is the ultimate goal, is that everyone survives. And if you accomplish that, then you have done a good job for everyone listening.
Similar to parenting, really.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's true.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
sleep deprivation, the chronic.
Some days that's
Yeah.
the most success you could wish for.
Now, how old is your little one?
One.
She just passed one.
Just past one. Okay. Did you ever have word finding difficulties whenever, like early on?
In the depths of the sleep deprivation.
Yeah, I think there were definitely moments where there are moments I just don't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the first 6 weeks, I had a really gnarly induction followed by 4 hours of pushing, followed by forceps, followed by a C-section. So I
You
just
got
pretty
the
much
buffet.
don't remember
Birth
the whole
buffet.
buffet,
You got
the whole
everything.
experience. So I just, don't remember much about those weeks afterward. I think I just had, like total amnesia. Maybe it was
I
that
hope
Versed too.
I hope now you're well rested and at least getting a
Thank
little bit more
you.
rest these
I
days.
am. I'm much better now.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back and do one more thing. Emily, we're going to have you stick around for some fan medical stories that were sent in to us.
Awesome.
And we'll react to those. So I'll be right back. All right, let's take a look at some of our favorite medical stories that were sent in by you, the listeners. And we have Dr. Silverman here to react to these with us. So our first story comes from Susan. Susan says, I was caring for a post-op patient who had an epidural in for pain relief. Anesthesia came up to check on the patient, and I noticed his badge, and the name that it said was Dr. Doolittle. I asked him what strings he pulled to get the hospital to make him a joke badge. Luckily, he had a good sense of humor and showed me his driver's license, and sure enough, that was his real name.
No.
Oh
We
my
had
goodness.
a good laugh over my faux pas.
I mean, he must get that all the time.
Yeah, probably loved it, honestly. That's great. There's so many things happen like that in medicine. Like you just kind of put your foot in your mouth every so often, and because you have so many different interactions with different people who have, patients and other people, other medical professionals. Like, I feel like that happens all the time. You just trying to create a bond with someone, and you just say the wrong thing. That was a good one. Okay. All right. So fan story number 2. This is from Kaylin. Hope I said that right. This is a pharmacy related story. So I was working until close to 1 at night I was working until close one night at a small independent pharmacy in a relatively low socioeconomic area. Many times patients walk up to our drive-thru without a car to pick up meds. This one gentleman walked up to our drive-thru and asked, where's your menu? And one of the staff answered the guy and asked him to repeat what he said. The man said, well, you're a drive-thru. Where's your food menu? And the staff said, sir, this is a pharmacy. We sell medicine. And the man's eyes grew big and he said, oh, and he walked off like nothing had happened. To this day, we wish we had sold him a Coke or a Pepsi.
Cheeseburger.
Or some snacks from the break room.
I mean, it happens to
Hey,
the
yeah,
best of us.
That's right. Yeah, it's easy to get confused. Walgreens, that could be anything. I don't know. So thank you to Susan and Callan for those stories. You can send us yours, knockknockhi@human-content.com. Emily, Dr. Silverman, thank you so much for joining us. It's really been a pleasure to finally get to talk with you, and it's been great.
Keep doing what you're doing. I think it's really badly needed right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's you look at social media, especially in the medical sphere, all the doctors and other medical professionals getting on social media. The content that really resonates with people is really wrapped up in storytelling, and that goes for my content as well. And so I appreciate you cultivating that, and I do think that's really important work. So tell people what's next, where people can find you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. If you want to learn more about the work I do, you can go to thenocturnists.com. We just released at the end of last year our 10-part audio documentary series on the topic of shame in medicine, which is why your story about that attending shaming you publicly, we received, on a serious note, we received a lot of stories like that. And so that's some of what we're trying to highlight with the Shame in Medicine series. We have a whole episode on shame and learning, and shame being kind of weaponized and used as pedagogy in the hospital. But we also have a ton of other different themes and topics. So check that out. We're really pleased that series has been well received by our community. Are receiving a lot of messages from people about it and just how it strikes a
Yeah.
chord. And we'll be presenting that at South by Southwest this March
Oh,
in Austin.
great.
Awesome.
That's
So
awesome.
we're excited about that. And then right now we're also working on a series called Post Roe America, which documents how the Dobbs decision has impacted healthcare workers. And so, now what we can and can't do, and sort of the emotional ramifications of that for people. So we're working on that. And then we have a live show in Minneapolis. We're coming to the Midwest. That's on April 22nd. And that'll be produced in collaboration with the Center for the Art of Medicine at the University of Minnesota.
Awesome.
And then hoping to do more shows, looking at maybe a show in New York this fall. So yeah, just visit our website. And if you want to be kept abreast of all these developments, just join our newsletter and you'll get all the deets.
And what's your website?
It's thenocturnist.com.
All right.
The Shame and Medicine series grew so much that it has its own website, but which is the Nocturnist dash. I actually don't want to say it wrong.
It's the Nocturnist dash shame.org.
.org. Yeah. But you can get to it through the main website.
Yeah.
So that one has its own website. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, and to the audience. It's so great to be connected with all of you. And gosh, keep doing what you're doing with the comedy.
Oh.
I keep fantasizing about you, like doing what? I don't know. I feel like there's just so much potential in what you do. And
I'm always open for ideas. So
well, I always email you. I always send you these crazy emails that are like,
every now and then I get an email from you.
Go on SNL or crazy things like that. But
sure, we'll just walk in.
I'll just ask him real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just give them a call. You probably have their number. But what you do, it just captures the spirit of like medical culture, all its good and all its bad and everything in between. I feel like your work highlights, and we just need laughter so much right now. So thanks for the work that you do as well.
Well,
both
thank
of you
so much. Well, it's such a pleasure. Thanks for being here. Well, thank you to Dr. Emily Silverman for joining us. That was a good conversation.
Lot of fun.
Yeah. It's I would love to be better at storytelling. I think we all would.
I would love for you to be better at it too.
It's I sometimes my stories are a little bit long-winded, but there is an art to it.
There is absolutely, yes.
And learning how to tell a good story, I think, is a skill that you don't necessarily have to have, but if you want to make
friends,
goes
a long way. Yeah, I think it's a very basic, like, human thing that we're all attracted to is stories. So I think that it's one of those like party tricks, like being a good dancer, being a good storyteller, right? It attracts people to you.
I was trying to remember one of the earliest stories you ever told me. Maybe maybe about around the time that you were a lead singer in a punk band.
Well, we don't need
We'll
to
save that for another
tell
time.
that story.
All right. So thank you all for sending in your stories to us. We're going to leave that little cliffhanger there. Do you have any stories to share? We'd love to hear them. Let us know also what you thought about the podcast today. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we could do better. We'd love to hear it. And there's lots of ways to hit us up. So you can email us, knockknockhigh@human-content.com. You can visit us on our social media accounts.
That's right.
YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Yeah. We're not on Instagram.
Well, I'm on Instagram, kind of.
You're kind of on Instagram?
I'm on there.
I'm not. And there's people that have my name on Instagram that are listed as a fan account. Just be careful out there on Instagram. You can also hang out with us in our Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok at Human Content Pods. Thanks to all the great listeners and all the people leaving wonderful feedback and awesome reviews for us. If you subscribe and comment on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube, we can give you a shout out. So we have Erigby12 on Apple said, "This podcast is a masterclass for those delivering healthcare and medicine, as well as those who need it." That would be all of us. Will, Kristen, and their guests explore what it means to be a doctor, someone related to anyone in healthcare, people working in the field, or those loved ones needing care. Again, which is everyone. The balance between Will and Kristen is exquisite. Exquisite.
Aw.
That's so nice. Thank you. All lay people, patients should be as engaged and curious as Kristen. All doctors should be genuine, informative, and engaged as Will and his guests. This is the best of medicine, and it's fun to listen to. Thank you.
That's so
that's
nice.
very nice.
That's a very kind review.
Yes, we appreciate that so much. We also have full episodes on YouTube every week at D Glaucomflecken. Lots of cool perks on our Patreon too. You can join our Patreon. We're there. We're hanging out. We're interacting. Bonus episodes where we react to medical shows and movies. We did like MASH and Monty Python and House, the TV show House, which is one of my favorites. I love that show.
I think you just like saying house.
House MD. Hang out with other members of the Knock Knock Hi community. Early ad-free episode access, interactive Q&A live stream events, a lot more coming. Patreon.com/Glaucomflecken or go to Glaucomflecken.com. Speaking of Patreon community perks, there's things you get when you join our Patreon. So new member shout out. We got Gracie L, Marie R, Alyssa A, Linda B, Lori C, and Joshua G. Thank you all. Also, as always, shout out to the Jonathans, Patrick, Lucia C, Sharon S, Omar, Edward K, Abby H, Stephen G, Roskbox, Jonathan F, Marianne W, Mr. Granddaddy, Caitlin C, Brianna L, Becky, and Dr. J. Jonathans. I give you all a podcast head nod. You're only going to see that on YouTube. I'm sorry. Patreon Roulette. So this is where we, people who are emergency physicians on our Patreon, which one is one of the levels, we will just give a random shout out. So let's, do you want to do the drum roll or should I do it?
Oh, you go right ahead.
Maybe I'm better at it. Okay. Shout out to Joyce O for being a Patreon. I just said that really loud.
Patron.
A patron for being a patron.
She is not Patreon.
Thank you, Joyce O. And thank you all for listening. We are your hosts, Will and Kristen Flannery, also known as the Glaucomfleckens. Special thanks to our guest today, Dr. Emily Silverman. Our executive producers are Will Flannery, Kristen Flannery, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor and engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omar Benzvi. To learn about our Knock Knock Highs program, I'm getting better at that note. I got it. Knock Knock Hi. Program disclaimer and ethics policy, submission verification licensing terms, and HIPAA release terms. You can go to glaucomflecken.com or reach out to us, knockknockhi@human-content.com with any questions, concerns, or fun medical jokes. Knock Knock Hi is a human content production.
Knock knock. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Hope you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.